We're going to go and deal with this subject that I've been really wanting to get into for a little bit, and it's called Revolutionary Black Leadership. And what we're expecting was the two councilmen here today. They're not here, so well, one of them should be coming in late. The other one had to go to another event, but we still want to go ahead and get started and just kind of rock from there. So, does anybody have any questions about last week before we really get going? Before we, Ty, come over here with me, man. Before we really get going good. Oh, here's Ali. Anybody got any questions before we get going good? Before we open up? No? Okay, good. We're going to go ahead and get started. So, in dealing with that today, today's topic, again, is the revolutionary black leadership. So, but before I go ahead and get into it, I want you to understand that the way you see most of our leaders today is certainly not the way they were. It's certainly not the way the leadership was set up for us in the very beginning. It's just not reflective of that. What you're seeing today in the black community mostly is the compromisation of black leadership. This is what we're seeing predominantly. I'm glad the young brothers made it in today because I wanted to really put this in your laps too, so that you'll get a greater understanding of what it means to be a black leader. Because being a black leader is not just a typical leader. This is important that we understand it. It's not just typical leader. Everybody can't be a black leader, but anybody that chooses to can be a leader. But there's a difference between a leader and a black leader, which we're going to get into today. And it's important that when we look at leadership, we look at it from the basis of our situation and our circumstances. It's hard for us to be leaders for people who we don't have similar backgrounds with. It's just difficult. It's difficult for me as a basketball player to teach golf. I'm not a golfer. So it's difficult for me to teach golf. It's difficult for me, say, as a person who does business related to the energy field, to go out and deal with gold mining, because gold mining is not where my experiences are, right? So my experiences give birth to my level of leadership in that particular arena. Y'all follow me? Yeah. So now it's hard for a person, for example, it's hard for a person who's never been strung out on, say, alcohol or an alcoholic to really advise alcoholics. It's difficult for a woman or a man who hasn't had difficulty raising children to give advice to a woman or a man that's raising children that's having difficulties, right? So y'all understand all that. So your leadership is specific to your experience. Based on your experiences will determine the depth and level of your leadership. Travis, you're a weightlifter. It's hard for me or somebody who's not a weightlifter to go in the gym and really know how to lift properly to gain muscles in certain areas if they are not a weightlifter. This is just common sense philosophies that we're dealing with, right? So with that being understood, revolutionary black leadership. This is where we're going today. Revolutionary black leadership. Look at these two revolutionary black leaders right here. Look at them. Revolutionary black leadership. And notice the only way out. It's the only way out. Because we've been under the authority for other leaders practically all of our lives. And it hasn't been working. Let's get to it. Revolutionary black leadership. I want to take each word and break it and give you greater understanding. The first word I want to deal with is black. Because oftentimes, family, I know that when we're out here and we're having conversations with people, many people don't want to be associated with black anymore. They want to be called African Americans. They want to be called everything other than black. When people ask me, what am I do simply tell them black. Has nothing to do with whether or not I am from any particular tribe or any particular group. The fact of the matter is I personally identify as black. And I'm going to show you why in a second. Now, let's look at this word for a second. Black, the color of carbon. Look at it. An energy that's present but unseen. I forgot my light. I was supposed to show you the particles, the unseen particles that are floating before you right now that you can't see. So we got these special magnets that we can put up under light and you can see the particles moving. that you can't see with your naked eye. So just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's not present. Right? Can I hear it? So now, what do we mean by that? Because the Spirit of God is in us, right? You can't necessarily see the Spirit in the form of energy, in the form of knowledge, in the form of wisdom, but it's present, right? But we manifest it in our actions. So we can reveal the invisible power and Spirit of God to you through our actions. Let's keep rolling. So black, the color of God. Energies that's present but unseen. That which was in the very beginning. What do you mean that which was in the very beginning? I'm going to show you in a minute. Everything that's living come out of what? Black, period. Right? About 70 to 80% of the material in the universe is carbon-based. Carbon is black. Now, the absorption of all colors. So when we say black, no, we're not just talking about a religion, a theology, a nationality. We're talking about a scientific phenomenon. So when I say I'm black, Lena, I'm basing it on the science. Right? We're not dealing with just simply culture. I'm basing it on the science. So when I say black, I am speaking from a scientific perspective. Let's open that door a little bit. That which all colors come from. All colors. Whether you be white, whether it be green, whether it be brown, whether it be silver, whether it be gold. All colors come from what? Black. All colors come from black. That means that if it were not for black, green couldn't exist. Purple couldn't exist. Yellow couldn't exist. White couldn't exist. Brown couldn't exist. All colors are rooted and based in black. So if all colors are rooted and based in black, and black was here in the very beginning, why wouldn't you want to be associated with black? Now, forget the westernized view of it. Black is dirty. Black is evil. Black is unrighteous. Forget the westernized view of it. Let's deal with the scientific view of it because we can substantiate it with facts. So when you say you're black, you're not just talking about your existence here in the United States of America. You're talking about your existence globally. You're talking about your existence in other galaxies. You're talking about your existence in waters. You're talking about the existence of everything owing its birth to black. So why wouldn't you want to be associated with it? That's who you are. That which all colors come from. No color could exist, Nashad, no color could not exist if it were not for black. Because black is the substance that gives birth to all other colors. Also, black absorbs all colors. Right? So now when we say black, we're not talking about some of the definitions will say the absence of light. No, it's the absorption of all light. It's the absorption of all colors scientifically when we say black. So if we say black is that which existed in the very beginning, that means that your and my existence was in the very beginning. Yes. You can't measure how old we are because you can't measure the age of blackness because it existed in the very beginning. Let me keep walking. Look at this now. This is very important that y'all understand this. Hey, young brothers, I want all of y'all to see this. You see this right here? It says the material of God. The material of God. There's a science called material science. See, they don't want us to get into these aspects of the science because it'll start letting us know how powerful we are. It'll start giving us greater insight, Jason, on what our true potential is. It'll start letting us know that we have the power to bring other things in existence. Yes, yes. So most often, people don't deal with us on a material science level because they don't want you to know what this really is. But I'm going to show you today. So watch this. So now we say the material of God, we're talking about the very essence, the very physical matter that was used to bring the first man into existence. The very material that is at the base of all atoms, all molecular structure, all amino acids, everything at the very base of it is carbon. And carbon is what? Okay, good. Now, so the material of God. When we use the word material now, we're talking about the physical aspect that God used to bring life into existence. Huh? So we're saying that God used the very best material to bring life into bring other life into existence, why am I running away from being called black? I shouldn't be, but we're dealing with black leadership. Revolutionary black leadership. It's important that we understand what black is before we start talking about revolution, before we start talking about leadership. Because if you don't understand what black is, you're going to get the wrong perspective of what black revolutionary leadership is. So when we say black, we talk about the very beginning of all things, the very essence of God himself. God himself came up out of what? Darkness, according to the scripture. It's in the book of Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. God himself came up out of darkness. Now, if God came up out of darkness, what's wrong with me coming up out of it? And what's another word for darkness?
Black.
All right, good. Black. Scientific. That's who you are. At the core of your brain is found the locus coeruleus, a structure that is black because it contains large amounts of neuromelanin. These are the neural nerve systems that's in the brain that transfer information. It's based on melanin. Why is it based on melanin? Because melanin, are you listening to me, guys? Look, young bloods, are y'all listening? Melanin is a highly conductive material. It's called a superconductor. That means that it conducts at a speed much higher than any other conductor. That means that nerve information travels back and forth, to and fro, on those that are melanated than anybody else. Now, if I'm telling you that melanated people are superconductors, they carry material faster. They process information faster. That means that if I got a material over here, let's use a word, let's say yellow, green, doesn't matter. Then they got one over here that's black. Right? The melanated material is going to transfer faster. Right? So when it says right here, melanin, it says melanin, which is essential for it to operate. In fact, all the most crucial brain structures are heavily melanized. Melanin in the brain increases from the lower primates and reaches its peak in black human. So the darker you are, the more melanated you are, the better you can process and transfer information once you understand the process. There was a point in time, you left that book in the car on Imhotep. There was a point in time when we process information differently. We don't understand these systems quite anymore. That's why we have these study group sessions to try to bring ourselves back into those situations. Right? It says, look, all humans possess this black internal brain evidence of their own common black African origin. That means that all humans come from where? All humans come from black. Look, the all black neuromelanin nerve tract of the brain is profound proof that the human race is a black race, with many variations of black, from black, black, black to black, white, white, black, and internally rooted in the vast sea of brain blackness. Dr. Richard King, who's a melanin scientist. Unfortunately, our melanin scientist is not here today to discuss these things a little bit further, but bear with me. Black melanin is a super absorber of all forms of energy. Okay, let's take this slow, Travis. So here's what we're saying. Melanin is a super absorber, a superconductor. That means that it absorbs at a rate higher than other things, right? It gives off energy at a rate higher than other things. Why is it important? Because we absorb all electromagnetic energy. We absorb it. All of the light spectrums, we absorb it. We have the ability to absorb it, but what we have gotten away from, Lena, is our ability to absorb it and then process it. See, when you walk in a room, you can pick up on the energy as you're walking in a room, and you can process the information. If I ask Sister Soleil a question, I can receive the energy before she utters the answer. Okay. Some of y'all been around me for a little bit, and I've been around y'all. And I'm not afraid to tell you, I love these concepts. And I like practicing these concepts. And oftentimes when I go places, I practice these concepts because I want to be able to filter the energy and understand it and isolate this information. So I'm saying this because it's not just something that I should be practicing. We all need to be practicing if we're expecting to fall into revolutionary black leadership. The scripture says Jesus knew their thoughts before they spoke them. What does that mean? That means that Jesus had the ability to read the information that was coming off of people before they spoke it. This is another reason why we knew Jesus had to be melanated. But Jesus was rocking with the very old ancient African science that we have gotten away from. Look at it right here. Look at this. It says, we absorb that which was in the beginning, the absorption of all colors, the absorption of all energy is what this is telling us. I'll show you another definition here in a second, right? It says black, of the very darkest color, owing to the absence of or complete absorption of all light, the opposite of white. Black absorbs all light, not some, but all. So when the scripture says Jesus knew their thoughts before they spoke them, it's not that Jesus was working with some magical beings. It's not that. It's just that he was melanated and he could sit in an audience and receive the flow of information, processing this information. See, many of you that may be listening, y'all aren't going to get this. No offense, because it's not for everybody. I'm going to show you in the scripture, baby. It's not for everybody. There's a reason why Deuteronomy 7:6 calls us a peculiar people. A people unlike any other people on the face of the earth. There's a reason why he chose us. He chose us specifically because there's something about us that's very different from everybody else. Yes. But you've been living like you are like everybody else, and you're not. You got to own it today. You're not like everybody else. That's why God told you he chose you above all nations, because there was something in you that's not in other people. Can I just be plain? We're talking about black, the revolutionary black leadership. It's not in everybody. It's only in you, but you got to own it. You got to embrace it. Everybody cannot do it. Now you can say hallelujah if you want to, but everybody can't do it. It's only for a specific group. Now what's wrong with that? What's wrong with it, family? Nothing.
What's wrong with it is that we've been allowing people to just dog us out. That's what's wrong with it.
Man, let me tell you.
And that's why they've been dogging us, because they know who we are.
Absolutely.
As soon as we find out.
Now I want to show you something here real quick. And we're working on that, sister. We're coming right to it. We're finding out. So let's deal with this thing. Let me get on this black thing a little bit more, because I want to get in on this a little bit. I'm sorry I can't do my demonstration. But there's energy fields that are floating all around. And I'm not trying to spook you. Come on, we ain't tripping on this. I got my magnets, but I don't have the light that I need to show you the energy patterns and how the magnets can manipulate the energy patterns. It's their energy fields all here, that when you walk, you're walking into these energy fields. If I get close to Jason's energy field going to be slightly different from Hanif's, because his breathing pattern is slightly different from Hanif. The breathing patterns are so minutely different, but they're different. And your breathing pattern has a lot to do with the energy fields that you're producing. Now, so the way you breathe determines your energy field. And so when I walk by Jason and then walk over here by Hanif, the energy fields are going to be different. Now, I can process those energy fields and interpret the energy within those energy fields and reveal things about both Jason and Hanif. So we're reading this book on Imhotep, right? That multi-genius that was from ancient Egypt that built the first step pyramid. When people would come in a room and walk towards him, he could diagnose them, will you? Joe, when people would walk towards Imhotep, he had the ability to process their information and understand their thoughts. He diagnosed them medically by looking in their eyes as they approached him and received their energy. You've heard people say the eyes are the way to the soul. The window to the soul, right? Imhotep mastered that science. We have the same ability, we just don't practice these sciences because we're walking obliviously as if these things did not exist. We've got to get out of that, right? Now, watch this. A material said to be black if most incoming light is absorbed equally in the material. So when you say you're black, right, you're saying that you absorb most incoming material. You're saying that you absorb most incoming energy. You're saying that you absorb most incoming light. You're saying that you were here in the very beginning. Watch. Electromagnetic radiation in the visible spectrum interacts with the atom. Y'all ain't listening. God. I mean, we don't need to go no further. I'm telling you, look at this. It says the material is said to be black if most incoming light is absorbed equally in the material. Light electromagnetic radiation in this visible spectrum interacts with the atoms and molecules. So the atoms and the molecules, you interact with those, processing this information. Look, which causes the energy of the light to be converted into other forms of energy. So I use a simple term, digital electronics. When you receive these waves, these highs and lows in energy, and you process this energy, it's called digital electronics. This is what's happening when you process this energy in physics and in electronics. But what has happened mostly is that we've gotten away from much of this, but we need to go back to it. And I've dealt with this on a larger scale, but digital electronics are ones and zeros. It's patterns of electronic information. You deal with it in computers in the form of binary numbers, but they are highs and lows. They can convert it electronically and give you information based on what you're typing in the computer. If the computer can do it, what makes you think you can't do it? This is what I'm trying to get you to see. The computer is based upon you. So now, if we can understand that the computer is based upon you, it reads nothing but ones and zeros. That means you have the ability to do the same. That means that you can receive information as black people because you absorb all the energy. So God knew what he was doing when he made you black. Although you were taught that black was a disgrace, that black people were evil, black people were the devil, black people were dirty, black people were not going to be anything, they were retarded, they couldn't learn, and so forth and so on. All of this was designed to keep you away from what I'm teaching you. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Okay, good. What you got?
Don't they use melanin in the computers now to get faster?
They're working on it. They're working on using melanin as a superconductor in computer because they understand now the science of it. Now, I don't know any laboratory I don't know any lab that's currently marketing melanin as a material in computer chips. However, they know that it is the best conductor on the earth. Nothing, that means platinum, gold, melanin is better than all of them because it absorbs more energy and it emits more energy and it does it faster than any of those materials. I'm telling you, family, when God created you, he created you from the best materials on the face of the earth, period. Otherwise, you couldn't have given birth to all the other races. And you are the mother and father of all other races. Scientific fact, historical fact, anthropological fact. There's no denying that. So now when I'm talking to you on revolutionary black leadership, I'm talking to you about leadership that was given to the world in the very beginning that you've gotten away from. Now, let's keep rolling. This means that black surfaces can act as thermal collectors. Thermal means heat, absorbing light and generating heat. See solar thermal collectors, solar panels. Are they white or black? Okay, right. Now look, absorption of light is contrasted. by transmission, reflection, and diffusion. All of these terms are dealing with hue. All of these terms. You can't even talk science and material without dealing with black. You can't. And for those of you that are saying, I'm not black, I'm brown, you're missing it. Because black gives birth to brown. It gives birth to all the other shades of black. You're missing it. But I'm going to walk with you anyway. Now look at this. So now watch this. It says absorption of light is contrasted by transmission, reflection, and diffusion, where the light is only redirected, causing objects to appear transparent, reflective, or white respectively. You have the ability to alter all of that. You have that ability. Okay. This is that spiritual science that we're dealing with. Black hole, a region of space having the gravitational field so intense that no matter or radiation can escape. Look, a region of space having a gravitational field so intense that no matter can escape. So now you're not just dealing with melanin as a superconductor, but you're dealing with it as a super strong material. Are you following me? A super strong material. I saw a test one day where the spider system as webs, it comes out white once it hits oxygen. But it's a form of melanin that will allow you to hook spider webs up and pull tractor trailers. Are y'all listening? Spider webs are that strong that you can use these webbing systems depending on how you orientate them and pull tractor trailers. This is how strong these systems are. But I'm saying you give birth to all of that. But you haven't been taught these birth systems. So if I'm talking to you on the physical perspective of melanin, imagine what you got spiritually. You are so powerful that the world hasn't been able to grapple with your power yet. Even when we use the terminology, black power really doesn't do you any justice. But it's a way that we can associate and identify ourselves with something. Now, watch this. Gravitational field so intense that no matter can escape it. The earth has a gravitational field as well because it's spinning at that beautiful speed. 1,033 1/3. It's spinning, right? Everything on the earth is being pulled to the earth because of the gravitational force that's created as a result of it spinning. And every time you jump up, you come down. This is how intense black is. It doesn't have to rotate. Okay. A black hole in space is where the gravity pulls so much that even light can't get out. Can you imagine? This force traverse is so strong that light can't even get out. See, this is why I'm telling y'all, I'm bringing this lecture forward, the teaching forward. They've been teaching us all kind of stuff about how the pyramids were built. I'm showing you right now how they were really built. Absorb this science, and we're going to walk into the ancient African teachings on the pyramid blocks. Now, because no light can get out, people can't see black holes. They are invisible. Space telescopes with special tools can help find black holes. The special tools can see how stars that are very close to black holes act differently than other stars. You are the epitome of a black hole. You are naturally. Let's go. Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Look at this. And the earth was without form and void. And what was upon the face of the deep? Oh. So the only thing that was present was what? Darkness. Come on, y'all. That was the only thing present. Huh? Now, and it says, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. And God said, let there be light. What am I saying? That the blackness was so intense that God himself had to come out of it. That's how intense blackness is. that the material is so richly, so strong, so rich, so valuable that God himself comes out of darkness. I'm going to show you again in some different ways. All right, listen, look at the Quran. So what are we saying? Right here in the beginning, God created man. It says God created heaven and the earth, right? I want you to look at the darkness that was here before anything else came, right? Darkness was here, right? The book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, God formed man from what? The dust of the earth. No, God made man in his own image and likeness. I think it's 2 and 7 that God created man from the dust of the earth, right? Yeah. God created man from the dust of the earth. Go to the book of Genesis chapter 10 verse 14. And God is creating this man in a place called Ethiopia, right? Where there's gold, where there's medallion, and there's these rivers that split in the forehead that encompasses all of the earth. I'm sorry, it's 2 and 10. 2 and 10, right? Where God is creating this man. And we create him in an area called Ethiopia, right? And Ethiopia in that region. In that region, yeah. In that region, what the dirt look like? Black, right? That's black dirt in that region. The best material on the face of the earth. And the people in that region are reflective of the color of the dirt they used to be anyway. I think it's Genesis 2 and 10. Watch this is getting at. So now what am I trying to get you to see? That the correlation of this material.
It's not in this one.
It's not it? Yeah, it got ripped out.
So now you got a Bible here and you got a scripture.
You know what it is. I'm sorry. I got about 100 Bibles. But sometimes when I drop them, the papers will fall out. That one right there just over. So now, let's keep rolling. We're dealing with this black thing real good, aren't we? So now, if you have it, you got a sister 2 and 10?
I'm looking for it right now.
Okay. I'm sorry, family. I want to get all this in today.
All right, Genesis 2 and 10.
Go ahead.
And a river went out of Eden to water the garden.
Yes, ma'am.
And from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads.
Yes, ma'am.
This name of the first is Pison.
Yeah.
Pison. This is which compasseth the whole land of Havilah.
Havilah, right.
Havilah, where there is gold.
Yes, ma'am.
And the gold of the land is good. There is bdellium,
right,
and onyx stone.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of the second river is
Gihon. Go ahead.
The same that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia.
Of what?
Of Ethiopia.
So the Garden of Eden, we're saying, is in Ethiopia, right? So the dirt in that region are reflective of the people that are in that region. It's a dark soil, right? Now, let's clean it up a little bit. Look at what the Quran has to say, Sister Lena. So we agree that we're talking about people being created in this region called Ethiopia, right? Where the dirt, the soil is black and is rich, right? Now, I'm telling you, when you go back here and look at the definition of it, I got right here, it says, the material of God. All other substance has to come out of this material. So if we're saying that over in Ethiopia, that where this individual is being created, that is dark soil, right? We're saying that this individual has to be black, right? Watch. Now look at what the Quran says. The Quran says in Surah 15, ayat 26, it says, surely we brought man into being out of dry, wringing clay, which was wrought from black mud. Are you listening? The Quran is being more specific, telling us that this man that came from this soil, he came out of wrought black mud. The material of God. The best material on the face of the earth. Why do you want to bleach your skin? I'm just asking. Look, then it goes to 28 and says, recall. Surah 15, ayah 28. Recall when your Lord said to thee, angels I will indeed bring into being a human being out of dry, wringing clay, rock from black mud. Now here's the caveat right here. In 29, it says, when I have completed shaping him, and have breathed into him my spirit, then fall you down before him in prostration. What is the Quran telling us? That this man that God created, that everybody is to bow down to him. So when I'm talking to you about revolutionary black leadership, this is what we're dealing with. The leadership that was given to us by God in the very beginning. The leadership that was given to us, the authority that was given to us by God himself. When he formed man in the book of Genesis, from the dust of the earth, he said, now I have given him dominion. What do you mean, dominion? He gave him the ability to dominate.
Yes, yes.
The fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and everything that creepeth and crawleth upon the face of the earth. Now he gave that to you. In order for him to give that to you, he had to give you the power to rule. He had to give you the power to lead. He had to give you the power of discernment. He had to give you the power of accountability. This is what was with us in the very beginnings out here. So what happened? We lost all of that. But what I'm trying to get you to see, the people that are ruling today are not the people that God put in place to rule. This is why the world is in the condition that it's in. I don't care who you are. God gave the authority and the power to us, and somebody removed it. Somebody destroyed it. But both Quran and Bible tells you that he said prostrate before him. Bow down. Get in your place. The only way the world can be free is that we have to get in our proper place. And God created you to be in the power of decision making, the power of rule. And you have become a subject of rulership. You are not acting as the authority of God anymore. So because you're not acting as the authority of God, the world has gone amok. It is your responsibility. So when we talk about revolutionary black leadership, we're talking about what was given to man in the very beginning. We're talking about what was given to man in the very beginning and what his purpose is supposed to be. He's supposed to be ruling from that perspective. But the mere fact that you surrendered your authority is evidentiary of the condition that the world is in today. And the only way that we can reclaim the world, we have to understand this. We have to understand this. Listen at me good. This world will not last as long as we're subservient. It is us that ushers in the kingdom of God.
Amen.
Show me otherwise biblically or Quranically. You can't show me otherwise. So if God gave us the power, what is our problem?
We get it together.
We got to get it together and reclaim our power. This is the only way that this world is going to survive. There is no other leadership that's sufficient. And we can take this on any level that you want it to be on. You can start as an individual, which is the first place the revolution has to start. In here, the first place. Let's deal with this thing some more. So what am I telling you? See, the Bible and the Quran, if they're taught properly, they complement each other. They go together, period.
Yes.
But they're not being taught. They're being used as tools to divide us.
Yep.
Get away from it. So, if the Quran says, surely we brought man into being out of dry, wringing clay, which was wrought from black mud. This is how man came into being. And then in the book of Genesis chapter 2, starting at the 10th verse, is letting us know that this man is being created from the dust of the earth, is being created in East Africa, Ethiopia. Recall when your Lord said to the angels, I will indeed bring into being a human being out of dry, wringing clay, wrought from black mud. The best material on the face of the earth. There's nothing wrong with that. How do we know it's the best material? It absorbs all light, absorbs all sun. All other people come from this material. No other people could exist if it were not for us. When I have completed him,
completed shaping him, and have breathed into him of my spirit, then fall down before him in prostration. What am I saying? What is the Quran saying? That once God has created this man that you call Adam, not the Adam of 6,000 years ago, but the ATOM of trillions of years ago, that was created from this fine material. It says, be obeisance to him, bow down, prostrate before him. Prostrate means to lay down before him, not just bend your knees, lie down. The world is not doing this. I'm coming, sister. The world is not doing this. Until the world, listen good, until the world honors God through the black man, the world will never survive. Every kingdom that you create will be destroyed because it's not following the order of God. God put us here to rule. This is not racism. Don't play us like that. This is fact. This is spiritual fact that we're dealing with. Yes, ma'am.
Keisha White says, slow down, brother, and breathe.
I can't, sister. It's on me like that.
That's right, it's important.
It's on me. The intensity of the black holes that we're dealing with is giving birth to understanding, so we got to release it. But I respect and understand what you, and thanks for listening, sister. Yes.
So when you said lay down and prostrate yourself or whatever, we have the misunderstanding that we're saying lay down and prostrate before Jesus Christ, not understanding the scripture when Jesus said, many shall come in my name saying I am the Messiah and will deceive you. That basic scripture helps us understand that we're not supposed to be worshiping an entity, we're supposed to be worshiping the Christ within us.
I agree with that. We're supposed to be worshiping the internal Christ.
But that's where the misunderstanding comes from. When you say the scripture,
But okay.
we're thinking that we should be laying down worshiping Jesus.
Okay, so let's back up. Okay, so number one, God created a certain group of people to usher in his kingdom. Let me back up. Stay with me, sister. Look at this. Let's walk slow. Matthew 10, 4 through 6. Look at it. These 12, Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans, enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Jesus coming was very specific, because it's not so much that we're supposed to prostrate before Jesus, but we owe obeisance to Christ. Christ is the internal spirit of God, that invisible spirit that's on the inside of us. It is through the workings of Christ that Jesus manifested God.
Yes.
So Jesus wanted us to understand that in order for us to manifest God, you have to see a man on the scene that can do that. Because you had gotten so removed from that. And because you were removed from manifesting God, that God gave birth to Jesus through the form of Joseph and Mary, so that you will have a guide to show you that he can lead you into all truths. The Spirit of Christ which was in Jesus. So when we say prostration, and if you want to take it that way, we're saying bow down to the Spirit of Christ that's on the inside of you.
Yes, yes.
But we're also saying there's a people that God has created specifically to lead the world to God.
Yes.
And those people are considered the children of Israel. And those people are going to be oppressed. Those people are going to be destroyed. They're going to be sold. They're going to be slaves. They're not going to have the knowledge of themselves anymore. Psalms 83 and 2, get it for me. So what are we saying here?
Don't forget stiff neck.
Absolutely. So what are we saying here? That Jesus came to teach a specific group. See, in order for us to be revolutionaries, we have to be focused. This is individually and collectively.
Yes.
You can't be a revolutionary and not be focused. You got to understand what your desire is as a revolutionary. Somebody has to lay the objective before you. That's why Jesus says, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Because Jesus, as a revolutionary, understood what his objective was. Our problems today is that we don't understand. Because we're running from ourselves. And in order for us to manifest God, we got to run to ourselves. We got to become who God created us to be, not who the world wants to see, but who God created us to be. You got Psalms 83, starting at verse 2. Listen to that.
83 and what?
That answers y'all question. Anybody who want to know why I'm still on her? God brought me back here for my people.
Yes, ma'am. Psalms 83 and 2.
For lo, thine enemies make a turmoil.
That who?
Thy enemies.
That who?
Thine enemies.
That means that God is telling us, according to the scripture, that there are enemies amongst us. Are you following me? Go ahead, keep reading, sister.
Make a turmoil, and they that hate thee.
They that hate thee.
Lift up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Stop. You don't know anything about Israel anymore. You don't know anything about what God gave you in the very beginning in terms of revolutionary black leadership. You don't know it. And this is why we have to come at you like we're coming at you. You don't know it anymore. So we have to put this back on the table. We got to go back to doing things the way we did them before we came here as slaves. And you can't be afraid to speak on it.
Yes.
There is no power in silence. Silence is betrayal.
Hallelujah.
You can't know the truth and then sit on it. Not and watch your people suffer like they're suffering. But you got to be a revolutionary. Yes, ma'am.
And you also can't know what you know and be a nasty individual to your people.
Oh, gosh, that is so true. Lord have mercy, that's true. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right. So look, Micaiah 5 and 2. But thou, Bethlehem, Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from old, from everlasting. That means that the ruler, this revolutionary, these revolutionaries has to come out of Israel. Go ahead, sister.
So that means all of Judah is not chosen? Because it said a little among the thousands of Judah.
That means that all of them are not going to be in that position as a revolutionary or revolutionaries, right? All of them are not going to be, but some of them are going to be. All of Judah will not be revolutionary. Everybody going to have a role to play in the process.
Everybody in Judah.
Everybody ain't Judah. Judah is one of the 12 tribes, but we dealing specifically with Judah, which you are. You are Judah. How do we know? Give me Jeremiah 14 and 2. Let's keep rolling. While sister getting Jeremiah 14 and 2. Now watch this. So, let's deal with this word revolutionary. Revolution. According to Webster, according to the West, it says a forcible overthrow of the government or social order in favor of a new system. Rebellion, revolt. I want you to focus on this word right here. Can you see me? Read, write, and vote. All right. Now, somebody had something. Read it for me, sister.
Jeremiah what?
Jeremiah 14 and 2.
Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground.
They're what?
Black unto the ground.
Judah is what?
Black unto the ground.
Okay, all right. So we're dealing specifically with these people that we don't like to be associated with, that's called black. Jesus himself is black. Go to Revelation 1 and 14 for me. Jesus himself is called black. Why do we want to discount our blackness? What was given to us in the very beginning could only come through the black. Because we're made of that divine material. Now watch this. Let's deal with this word revolution while sisters getting that scripture. Listen, we say revolution. And the base word for revolution is the word revolt, right? R-E-V-O-L-T, right? Revolt, revolt. Re means to do again. Re also means to change. But what I want you to catch, the proper definition here, is that revolt. What is volt? Electromotive force, mechanical force. Volt is a form of force. It's what pushes the current through your wires in your house to give you electricity. Another reason why we know we're dealing with melanated people. Because in order for the electricity to flow through your house, it must be conductive. We've got to be dealing with the highly conductive people. Jesus himself was a black revolutionary. Go ahead, sister. Revelation 1:14. Give more life to Jesus.
His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were a flame fire, and his feet like unto fine brass.
Stop 1 second. His feet like in the what?
Fine brass.
Go ahead, sister.
As if they were burned in a furnace.
Stop for a second. Let's walk slow. Now, let's go back, because I think these are brilliant questions. Now, anything, now remember, the color of carbon. Can you see that black? Tony, get that black, son. The color of carbon. Now, what is that? Come on, somebody.
Black.
Black. Okay, now, when it says his feet were like fine brass, as if they were burnt in an oven. Anything burnt is what color?
Black.
Black. So this is describing Jesus.
And the head note on this is the Son of Man.
Okay, describing Jesus, right? As being black, right? The Quran describes it as being made from black mud. Y'all saw that? The Bible says made from the dust of the earth. But this particular dust that we were dealing with on this level right here where I want to keep y'all, we're talking about Ethiopia. But please understand, there's another dust that we got to talk about. I ain't dealing with it today, but there's another dust that we have to talk about. But for now, for this particular lecture, we're dealing with the dust of the earth. But it's all what color?
Black.
His feet were like fine brass, as if it were burning up. Go ahead, sister.
And his voice as the sound of many waters. And he had in his right hand 7 stars. And out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword. And his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength.
Stop for a second. See, all of this is coded. And his countenance was like what?
Was as the sun shineth in his strength.
Now, in order for that word shine comes from the word fluoresce. When you say fluorescent light, you're talking about shining light. I wish y'all would follow me. You're talking about shining light. It is the molecules or the atoms that determine how the light shines. With fluorescent light bulbs, you introduce something called mercury to excite the molecules once electricity is applied. So this man Jesus, even if you don't want to say his feet were like brass as if it were burned in an oven, you've got to acknowledge that the material that he's made of has to cause his countenance to shine. And do you know that's melanin? Are y'all listening to me? Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that can do it. Because melanin is the absorber of light. Okay, all right, let's keep moving. So let me get back to this. Y'all bear with me, please. I know this has been a lot. But I got to give it to you like this. All right? So when we get back to revolution here, it says that an overthrow or repudiation and the thorough replacement of an established government or political system by the people governed. So the people that become revolutionaries are people that want to overthrow the existing government. Now, the existing government are the rules, policies, procedures, legislation that cause you to exist the way that you are. How many of you know that we need to overthrow our local government, being this? Mm-hmm. It needs to be overthrown. a revolution has to occur to destroy this government right here first. Once you destroy this government, then you can move outside of you, destroying the other governments that are not of God, that are in your own house, that are in your own community, that are in your own nation. And this is how you become a revolutionary. But let's back up. Revolt. Change by force. The word volt, V-O-L-T, is electromotive force, mechanical force, according to physics, right? We got an engineering student in here. I don't want to put him on the spot. But voltage is electromotive force.
Is that true? Yeah.
Yes, in physics, it's electromotive force, right? No disputing that. So, when we say revolution, we're saying a change that occurs by force. Travis, when you were kidnapped and brought here, your ancestors, they forced you on the ship. You didn't volunteer. You were whipped and beaten. That's force.
Kanye West said you agreed to it.
Well, I think he has
In a
some
certain
point.
sense, he makes sense. Those
Yeah, he got some point.
see beyond the physical realm, because if we knew who we were, we wouldn't have allowed them.
To do that, yes, so that you agree.
Hallelujah.
We don't know who we are, so I can understand people being upset by that, but that should make you want to know who you are even more instead of getting mad at Kanye.
Amen.
Go ahead, brother. You got something real quick?
It's like the revolution. Don't revolution mean the cycle to like back? Like,
Revolve. That's
yeah,
revolve.
Yeah. So
There's a
it's like
difference
going
between
back to.
Yeah, there's a difference between. I want to make this clear. There's a difference between revolve and revolt. There's a difference between revolve and revolt. So what has to happen is revolt is also a rebellion. Huh? That means you're going against the grain. That means that you're changing that system that you were once in. I'm a rebel.
So Jesus a rebel?
Ain't no doubt about it. Because during the time of Jesus, the Roman Empire was ruling. During that time, it was the Roman Empire that were oppressing them. When you look at it historically, right? The Roman Empire was oppressing the children of Israel back then. And so Jesus came on the scene as a revolutionary. I'm going to show you in a second why Jesus was a revolutionary. Go ahead with your question.
Is that why Christians are classified as a terrorist group?
Christians?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, some of them are classified as terrorist groups. It was the terrorist Christians that brought us here as slaves. Who got my book?
But
Read
you know
this book
it's
right
listed
here.
on the,
Terrorism
on the
and
list
U.S.
of
foreign
the-
policy.
And Christians was on the list.
Who?
We looked at a list about, I don't know, terrorism or the first people that were round up for the FEMA camp. What was that list? You looked
Yeah,
at?
terrorism and U.S. foreign policy from freedom to slavery, right?
You remember, right?
Yes.
Now, check this out. Check this out. So, there are terrorists in all religious sects, all religious orders. Right? No getting around it. But let's get back to Jesus. Matthew 15. Let me show you why he was a revolutionary. First of all, you understand that he was only sent to a specific group of people. Jesus was undoubtedly a black revolutionary. It says, and behold, Matthew 15, 22 through 24, behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast. And just to remind y'all, Canaan is where Jacob came out of too now. And cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me. Before Jacob went into Egypt, he was in Canaan.
And Cain is a...
All that's still the African region.
But that's, is that named after Cain and Abel?
Well, he went there after he was destroyed, after he was killed. I don't necessarily know if it was named after him or not. The same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, the son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil.
Ooh.
Listen at this language now. But he answered her not a word. This woman is coming up to Jesus because her daughter is vexed with the devil and wants Jesus to free her. Travis, watch Jesus. But he answered not a word, and his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us. Now watch this now. But Jesus answered, he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Revolutionary. Because he understood what his focus was. His focus was to free the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Nothing else mattered. When you're a revolutionary, Your life don't even belong to you. Marcus Garvey said it belongs to the revolution. Mao Zedong said it belongs to the revolution.
Yes.
H. Rap Brown in Die Nigga Die, the book Die Nigga Die, said your life belongs to the revolution.
Yes, it does.
Jesus understood that his life belonged to the revolution. New black leadership leader. Revolutionary black leadership leaders have to understand that their life is not their own. Your life belongs to the people. Your life belongs to the revolution. This is what we have to accept as revolutionary black leaders. And if we don't accept this, we will never become the people that God desired us to be. We have to embrace this. So if you're going to lead our people, it has to be from a revolutionary black leadership perspective. Otherwise, we can't properly lead our people. I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel, to show you how much of a revolutionary he was, right? He's saying, look, I don't care about nothing else. Listen, now listen. For those of you that are listening, I'm not dealing with Paul's teachings. This is not what we're talking about Jesus. We're not dealing with Paul, the Roman, the Jew, the Greek, the thief, the robber, the murderer. Paul said, I'll be whatever I need to be to all people at any time. We ain't dealing with him. Jesus was consistent. Jesus said, I'm only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now, if you're really following Christianity, deal with that. Now, watch this. Why is this important? I'm coming to your question. Revolutionaries understand the objective and the agenda. They understand that. We have to become more in tune as black leaders in terms of understanding what the agenda is based on our circumstances. But for so long, we've been excluding our own and including others.
Yes.
Everybody, listen good, has benefited off of our backs. It was us that had the civil rights law in 64 and 65, the legislation passed. You watched them spraying water holes on our black women, sicking dogs on our black women and black children and black men. But we benefited the least. White women benefited from us more than any other group. It was us that brought affirmative action into being. We benefit the least. Our revolutionary style leadership today has to be more focused. It has to be more specific to the cause.
Yes.
It has to be more down the leadership that Jesus brought specifically for our group of people. If the civil rights laws of the 60s were more specific to us, we would be further off other people. Even the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, those amendments should have been more specific to us, but other minority groups are using those amendments to benefit. We benefit the least.
But we ain't supposed to be distracted with the hip hop and the bling bling, man.
We're missing it.
You know?
So what has to happen with the revolutionary black leadership, our leadership has to be more specific. Look, in every state across the country, we're failing academically. We're getting ready to present before the Board of Education again. And we go back to 1997. Back to 1997. 21 years. When you look at level 4 math testing for black males, 47% of whites are proficient in that subject matter. Only 11% of blacks are proficient. That's a 35%, 36% gap. Are you following what I'm saying? So the fight has to be more specific. Travis, as a weightlifter, if I want to build my legs, why am I working on my triceps? If I want to build my legs, I have to work my legs. Our focus, our aim, our fight has to be more specific. Jesus' fight was very specific. So in revolutionary black leadership,
tell them you should tell them on Facebook about your math camp and reading camp.
Thank you. For those of you that are in the area, thank you. Every year we sponsor a math camp and a reading camp, but within the math and reading camp, we also do history, right? It starts on July 19th of this summer. And we'll run it for about 3 weeks. It's free of charge. The address is 306 Dobbs Street, Hereford, North Carolina. We don't charge the students anything. Math, reading, and history, free of charge. Also within those time frames, we have a free basketball camp. And we have a free soccer camp. And so we're inviting all of you that are struggling academically over the summer. Let's become revolutionaries.
Yes.
Parents, get your children here. The day for talking is long gone.
Yes.
We've been doing this since 2002. We want you to come. We're not charging you a dime, but we're giving you tools that make you become better citizens. And when I say better citizens, I'm talking about better citizens for your community, your family, your people. All we want you to do is participate. Starting July the 19th. If you need to get in touch with me, you can call me personally. Oh man, this is going over the internet. 919-225-5901.
You about to be packed.
That's all right, brother.
That's what we need.
Listen, Matthew 16:24. Then Jesus said unto his disciples, if any man or any woman will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. If you're looking to obtain godliness, this is one of the fundamental principles that you have to adopt. If you want to become a revolutionary, this is one of the fundamental principles that you have to adopt. You have to be willing to deny yourself. Revolutionaries denied themselves. Whether you like Martin Luther King or not, the evidence is there that the man was a revolutionary. He denied his family day in and day out. He could have made a lot of money doing a lot of other things. But he denied his family so that he could move our community forward in his own way. Other people had to support his family because he wasn't bringing the money in. So you had entertainers from Hollywood sending money to him. You have to deny yourself. Take up your cross and follow Christ. I'm almost finished, family. Any questions so far? Okay, good. Look at this. Mark 14:46-50. I put this in the NLT, a New Living Translation. It says, get this, son. Then the others grabbed Jesus and arrested him. Come on, somebody. But one of the men with Jesus pulled out his sword and struck the high priest's slave, slashing off his ear. Let's stop for a second. Then the others grabbed Jesus and arrested him. See, revolutionaries will get arrested. Revolutionaries got to fight. Now, I'm not talking about those that are banging behind the computers. I don't know what that is. And please don't pull me into that. Those banging behind the computers, talking all this stuff in a box. We need people actively out there truly banging. Right? It says, then others grabbed Jesus and arrested him. But one of the men with Jesus pulled off his sword and struck the high priest's slave, slashing. Check out Jesus.
They were ready. They were ready.
No doubt about it. Jesus asked them, am I some dangerous revolutionary that you come with swords and clubs to arrest me? Why did you arrest me in the temple? I was there among you teaching every day. But these things are happening to fulfill what the scriptures say about me. Then all his disciples deserted him and ran away. Stop. They cowards. Why you think black leaders run now? when the pressure get on because they're cowards. Jesus did not run. Listen, young bloods, the days are coming for all of y'all young brothers where you're going to have to man up on your own. You're going to have to ride this fight by yourself until aid comes to you. Listen, listen, listen. Sometimes you're going to have to get out there and grind by yourself to make change. That's what revolutionaries do. Revolutionaries don't just talk.
That's right.
Sit behind a computer and criticize. Revolutionaries don't do that, you damn coward. Revolutionaries fight.
On the front line.
On the front line, that's what they do. Look at the language again. Then the others grabbed Jesus and arrested him. But one of the men with Jesus pulled out his sword and struck the high priest's slave, slashing his ear off. So some of the people that were rolling with Jesus were fighters now. Then it says, Jesus asked them, am I some dangerous revolutionary?
Yes.
Come on, somebody. Now this is a suggestive question. Because Jesus is saying, I am a dangerous revolutionary. Can you handle that kind of act? He's asking the question. But in the question, he supplied the answer. He said, am I some dangerous revolutionary? He said, I am a revolutionary. And you damn right I'm dangerous. This is what Jesus is saying. Watch this. That you come with the swords and the clubs to arrest me.
So the man ain't said damn right.
Yes, he did. You got to read it well. Why didn't you arrest me in the temple? Why didn't they arrest him in the temple? See, they wanted to make a public scene with him. And in the temple, there were a lot of people. So the people were supporting him in the temple now. But when he went out and got kind of by himself with the disciples, then the cowards came. That's how they did a lot of our leaders in the 60s. They isolated them.
Yes.
They put cowards around them that will infiltrate their organizations to break them down, to destroy them. They would not let people support them. When you find revolutionaries out there fighting, then the banking system gets involved. The economic system gets involved. The political system, the police system, they all get involved and they come after those that are supporting the revolutionaries. That's why most of our revolutionaries die with no help. They die broke. But the revolutionaries that die understand that their life belongs to what? The revolution. Their life belongs to the revolution. What good is my life if I can't live my life? How can a man live his life unless he's willing to lose his life? If a man hadn't found anything worth dying for, he's not fit to live. This is why today's revolutionary black leadership has to be hinged upon this. Give me 5 minutes, y'all, because I can teach this for another 3 hours, but I'm going to stop in 5 minutes. All right, because I see the brothers ready to move. So what I'm saying to you, Jesus calls himself a revolutionary right here. So if any man is following Jesus, right, he has to become a revolutionary. Jesus was not a coward. Not at all. And if we're claiming Jesus as our brethren, we can't be cowards. Almost finished. Let me get to this. The French Revolution, I'm not going to deal with that. But I do want to deal with this. With the outbreak of opium, listen at this real good. With the outbreak of opium war in 1840, the British became the first to wage a war of invasion against China. Watch this now. This is how they destroy nations. Soon after France, the United States, Russia, Germany, Japan, Italy, and Austria, Hungary scrambled manically to carve up Chinese territory. Owing to the cruel oppression, imperialism, and extreme corruption of the Qing dynasty, that's Cuba, it's Qing dynasty, Chinese politics descended into darkness. The national economy fell into the decline. Society was torn apart, and the people had no means of livelihood. China, a great eastern land with ancient civilization spanning thousands of years, was tragically reduced to the semi-colonial and semi-feudal society and allowed itself to be trampled on at will. Now this is talking about China, but it's describing you. As the fate of the state and the nation hung in the balance, China's bourgeoisie democratic revolution took to the historical stage. listen to this. China's bourgeoisie, democratic revolution, took to the historical stage. When we say bourgeoisie, we're talking about middle class, upper middle class people, all right, who are into materialistic things more so than anything else. Then it says, the most outstanding representative of China's bourgeoisie revolutionaries was Dr. Sun Yat-sen, whose revolutionary program consisted of the principle of nationalism. Let me stop for a second. You'll find that in any revolution, whether it be Hitler's revolution or the Third Reich, whether it be the French Revolution, whether it be the Chinese Revolution, one of the key components is nationalism. That means that you got to reinvigorate with the people of being proud of who they are.
Yes, yes.
You got to reinvigorate the people with their historical understanding of who they were before the oppression set in.
Yes.
This is where we are as a people today. Now, watch this. Principle of democracy and principle of people's livelihood, otherwise known as the three principles. By the establishing the Minabar People newspaper, founding political parties, and launching a succession of 10 armed uprisings, Sun Yat-sen spread revolutionary thinking built upon a revolutionary atmosphere and gave revolutionaries the courage and the faith to overthrow the Qing dynasty. This was an important reason and prerequisite for both the outbreak of the revolution of 1911 and its success in toppling feudal autocracy in China. Autocracy is simple when one individual rules that nation, period. He's an absolute ruler. That's an autocracy. So we saw that in China, but it caused the Chinese to revolt. Watch this. Drugs were forced on China by rich colonialists of Europe and America. Drugs were forced on China by the Americans and the Brits. Whenever they want to control the people, what do? They bring drugs in.
Drop off drugs and guns.
They control and destroy your community and bring drugs in. This is commonplace with colonialist rule. This is what the colonists do, period. Yes, ma'am.
So what kind of substitution can we bring into our communities for these drugs?
Well, the best substitution is the mind. Don't take this as just a cliche, okay? This is just not a cliche that I'm giving. The best substitution is the mind of God. That's the best substitution. This is why we have to go at this thing from this perspective. This is why they gave us the Bible, so we can ward off these things, right? The only way around it is the mind of God. But you got to understand that the mind of God is right here, period. Therefore, when you have the mind of God and a man tells you to poison your sisters, poison your brethren, you walk away from it. Yes, ma'am.
So what if you have the mind of God, but you still want to light up your blunt?
You ain't got the mind of God.
That's not true.
No, okay, well you tell me what it is. Show me in the scripture. Hold on. Show me in the scripture where God was lighting up blunts. Show me in the scripture where God was getting drunk. Show me in the scripture where God was pumping poison in his community.
Wait a minute.
Show me in the scripture.
Wait a minute. I can show you in the scripture where it says that nothing good dwelleth in the flesh. We all fall short of the glory of God. So
Well, that wasn't your question.
Men are gonna
I misunderstood your question.
No. I'm saying
You asked me a very specific question,
and a
sister.
personal question, and I'm not gonna allow you and no one else to say that I don't have the mind of God because I might want to like me.
Let's back up for a
So
second.
those of y'all who listening, pray for me. Don't judge me.
No, hold on a second. Let's back up. This is very important because you got people listening to you. Back up. You asked me a specific
I
question.
mean, the truth is a lie.
So hold on a second. You asked me a specific question, right? Sit down, young bloke. And your question was very direct. How do you ward it off? And I said to you, you got to have the mind of God. Now what you did is you start backtracking. Boom, 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 boom. You're saying, hold on a second. How you say I ain't got the mind of God if I'm doing these things, right? Now you and I both know that we all fall short of the glory. We all got that, right? The scripture says we all are like what? Filthy rags. But God can make you white as snow. Who can make you white as snow? What do you mean God can make you white as snow? When the Spirit of God in you starts to grow, those things dissipate. Those things go away. When the power of God becomes more active in your life, those things that are detrimental to you start to fall away. Flee the devil. And he will resist the devil and he will flee from you. Now, I'm not banging against people, but you asked me the question. And so we all have weaknesses. We all got shortcomings, right? But even in my shortcomings, what empowers me today is to walk away from a lot of things that perhaps I couldn't walk away from is the mind of God. More than anything, that's what I want. take my money, take my properties, take anything, but give me the mind of God. I'll take that any day.
Clean heart and renew the right spirit.
Okay, now, again, let's keep it. Drugs were forced by China. See, we owe an obligation to this, right? We got to understand the tactics of the enemy. We understand in a colonialist takeover, one of the first things they do is put drugs in your community. We understand that. And for those of you that may be hitting that weed, right? You're not my enemy. I'm not banging with you. But here's where your enemy is. Every pull, that ain't weed you smoking anymore. All of that stuff has been doctored in a lab to have a different effect on you. A totally different effect. It is not designed for you to have the medicinal benefits that used to be in the weed when the weed was natural. And I'll deal with this another day. You ain't smoking weed. I don't care how good it smells. And by the way, why does it smell like that? Chemicals. You know? So this is all that is to lure you into it. You walk in a room, weed don't smell nothing like it used to. So all of this has to be who you really fooling. Not you, sister. Whoever. Who are we fooling? You're not smoking weed. You're falling into the hand of your enemy. He punking you. I don't care who it is. He's punking you. He got you. Most brothers that are being locked up now, weed charges. Look, man, this dude is so good at this. He was doing it in 1830s in China. You new on the scene, man. You can't contend with him with drugs. Drugs were forced on China by the rich colonists of Europe and America. The British government even waged the famous Opium War in 1839 for China to accept opium on English ships. Listen to what Malcolm X said. Malcolm X wrote, imagine, declare war upon someone who objects to being narcotized, hooked on drugs. How do you declare war on them? They hooked on drugs. So what do we say? We're not, listen, shortcomings, we all got it. I'll be the first one to raise my hand. That ain't the point here, right? The point is, whatever our shortcomings are, we all have to start moving from it, right? And another thing, all I'm trying to say is this weed thing, I'm glad you brought it up, sister, that we're smoking, right? You ain't smoking weed. You're not smoking weed. Even the heroin now that you're dealing with, it's not heroin anymore. The cocaine, it's not cocaine anymore. All of this is laboratorily induced substance. That if they're doing it in the food, what makes you think they're not doing it in the drugs? Come on. Go check out this video. There's a guy on YouTube, white guy, scientist. He's a scientist. Go to naturalnews.com. He's talking about what I've been talking about in here for years. Chemical doping. How they put chemicals in the food to give you high blood pressure. To give you diabetes. Negro, what you think they putting in the weed? Make you sterile. Sterile. The chemicals that they're putting in the weed. Listen, you can say that how can they make me sterile and not make the European sterile? Well, when you listen to that doctor that's on Natural News, he's going to tell you that the chemical doping is specific dopants that they will put in food and drugs to have one effect on you and not the other population. Many of you heard me tell you this when I was in high school, a senior, the chemistry teacher, who I'm very personally close to, sit down. He comes in here now. He comes to my office right now. I've known him over 30 years. He told me in 1986 that right now you can put a Chinese man, in 1986, a Chinese man, a white man, a black man in a room and roll a ball in there with a specific chemical. It'll kill the individual only that you want it to kill. If you just want the Chinese man killed, it'll do it. Then he can roll a ball in there to kill the black man only. Another one to kill the white man only. You think he's not manipulating your growth, population, birth rate? by introducing. He know you like to sit at home on the video thing and puff. He knows that. He already knows. So he's giving it to you. But our lecture today is revolutionary black leadership. In order for us to go into revolutionary black leadership, we got to leave the weed alone. We got to leave all that altering stuff, we got to leave it alone. Because your enemy is attacking you through that now, because he knows that you like to satisfy your pleasure system. We get it. So he's attacking you through that. This is why we got to get rid of it. Okay, thank you, sister, for bringing that up. This drug trade started because big capitalists could make fortunes. Listen, sister. This drug trade started because big capitalists could make fortune selling addictive drugs, and because the colonialist government needed that trade to finance their takeover of China itself. So they use drugs to finance wars that they can't get money from Congress to do. They use drugs in communities to finance the personal objectives of legislators and Congress people. You become complicit when you buy the product. Are you following me? Now, I'm not attacking you. I want you to understand what we're up against as a family. We need all soldiers on deck, as drug-free as possible. Okay. This is similar to the way the U.S. ruling class helped create today's worldwide plague of drug addiction. Listen, the U.S. ruling class is tied into drug traffic at all levels. They often organize it, finance it, and defend it. In the 1960s, the CIA flooded heroin into oppressed communities to pay a secret war in Laos. Hold on, let's back up. In the 2000s, the CIA flooded marijuana in oppressed communities to pay for a secret war in Afghanistan. How you want to rock with it? You follow what I'm saying? So now, check this out. All the data supports this. Before we went into Afghanistan, there was a very small percent, 2 to 3% of all the heroin was coming from Afghanistan. The Muslims in that region had it in check. Only 3% of the world's heroin was coming from Afghanistan then. After we went into that war, 98% of all the world's heroin was coming from Afghanistan. Do you follow what I'm saying? And for those of you that hear me lecture here, when I went to Vietnam, I interviewed the soldiers. I talked to them. You hear me tell you, I ate in their homes. I sat down. I rapped with them. I banged with them. We chilled. They said, America came in, this is their spin on it, into Vietnam because they wanted the rich heroin. And so when American soldiers came, they were addicted to heroin because of what they were seeing. So now when they got here, they wanted to continue to satisfy their addiction. So they put heroin throughout all the black communities in an attempt to destroy the community, but in an attempt to make money for the government on the low. Same thing with crack cocaine. Same thing with crack cocaine. I got countless family members, man, that were strung out on crack cocaine. Countless, right? Same thing. Let's keep rolling. In China, the Maoist revolution ended drug addiction quickly. Mao was a Chinese revolutionary. He displayed Chinese revolutionary leadership. In China, the Maoist revolution ended drug addiction quickly. Mao's revolution armies defeated the oppressors' armies in 1949. 3 years later, in 1952, there were no more addicts, no more pushers, no more opium poppies grown, and no more drugs smuggled in. Do you know now in China, you smuggle in drugs, it's a death sentence? A death sentence. There was a lady that came into China recently from Indonesia to hang out with a friend. And when she was leaving China, somebody gave her a backpack with drugs in it. Death penalty.
She did?
She's gonna. It says, no more opium poppies grown. No more drugs smuggled in. In only 3 short years, China went from 70 million drug addicts to none.
Well, the only way you can do that is if you got the same guns that the government got. You can't be trying to stop the drugs in the neighborhood that think that you ain't gonna be able to go to war.
You don't need guns. Family, listen. You don't need guns. You need the Spirit of God. Family, listen. Turn around, son. Sit down. Come on, big boy. You forget the guns. It ain't even about money.
Yes.
We need the Spirit of God to be activated in us. It's in you, but you got to take on the Spirit. That's why it says in Philippians 2 and 5, let the same mind be in you that was in who? Christ, who thought it not robbery to be equal to who? To God.
Yes.
So we got to let the mind of God, we don't need guns. We got enough of those. So we need God. We need the Spirit of God to come alive in us, to give us power to overcome these things. African revolutionaries, Kwame Nkrumah. Anybody know what country? Ghana. Patrice Lumumba, Congolese, the Congo. These are revolutionaries that helped Africa win its independence. Robert Mugabe, Zimbabwe. Muammar Gaddafi, where? Libya. Laurent Kabila, Congolese. Jomo Kenyatta, head of the Mau Mau secretly in Kenya. These are revolutionaries that overthrew colonialist rule. The Haitian Revolution, I'm almost finished, from 1791 to 1804. This is a very important revolutionary. First time that a slave country had taken over from colonists. Look at this. 1791 to 1804 in the Shah. Payan, Tony, Joe, William, y'all listen. The Haitian Revolution from 1791 to 1804 was a slave revolt. Zaire, you up? Slave revolt in the French colony of Saint-Dominique, right? Which culminated in the elimination of slavery. There and the founding of the Republic of Haiti. The Haitian Revolution was the only slave revolt which led to the founding of a state. The Haitian Revolution was the only slave revolt that led to the founding of a state. Furthermore, it is generally considered the most successful slave rebellion ever to have occurred, and as defining moment in the histories of both Europe and the Americas. The rebellion began with the revolt of black African slaves in August of 1791. It ended in November 1803 with the French defeat at the Battle of Vittorious. Haiti became the independent country January 1, 1804. Now, watch this. You know why they were successful? They had tried before. The timing was right. But do you know what Toussaint Louverture did? They call him the Black Napoleon. Does anybody know what he did? Listen, we're spiritual people. This is what I always talk to y'all about. This stuff, this melanin is serious. He went to some spiritual leaders who you call voodoo priests. All voodoo means is spirit, period. So he went to the voodoo priest and consulted with them in private. They told him when to go to war. They told him how to go to war. And they told him that he was going to be victorious. After consulting with them, he went out and fought according to what they said. And they were able to overthrow the French. That's the only way they were able to do it.
So is this why the Haitians have that reputation? They ain't nothing to play with?
Haitians got a very bad reputation. Undeserving. In part because it's such a beautiful landmass there. The layout is very beautiful. It's black ruled. It's supposed to be black ruled. But we know that it's the poorest country in North America, right? And we also know that Haiti is rich in oil. It's rich in gold. It's rich in diamonds. It's rich in a lot of natural resources and minerals. We know that. And so what happens is that the colonialist rule still has some authority in that region through oppression. We know that. That island used to be one with Dominican Republic. Now it's separate. What am I getting at? Here's what I'm getting at. Around about, here's a drawing of Toussaint Louverture. Zaire, you look. Zaire, he wears his hair like you. Look, Zaire. Zaire, look, you see? He wears hair like you. So what I'm saying is this, right? with all of this being said, right? We're going to skip through some of this. What I'm getting at is we have to come into the understanding that the first act of the revolution is holy jihad, right? As you see here. And what that is that there's an internal battle. And I love the concept of right and wrong within you. You have to destroy this. You have to win this war internally first. The first act of any revolutionary is to destroy those ills within his personages. He has to destroy his own personal ills first. And then once he destroys his own personal ills, then he can move out and destroy those ills within his community. But first, it has to be here, and it's written in the form of holy jihad. I'm going to skip through this for the sake of time. Surah 2, ayat 178. O you who have believed, prescribed for you is legal retribution for those murdered. The free for the free, the slave for the slave, and the female for the female. But whoever overlooks from his brother anything, then there should be a suitable follow-up and payment to him with good conduct. This is an alleviation from your Lord and a mercy. But whoever transgressed after that will have a painful punishment. Ecclesiastes 3 through 5. There's a time to do what? Bottom line. A time to heal. A time to break down. A time to build up. A time to weep. A time to laugh. A time to mourn. A time to dance. There's a time to do everything. But the time that we're in now is a time for the revolution. Revolutionaries have to come forward. And we have to come forward understanding that our objective is revolutionary black leadership. That's the only thing that's going to free our community. What do you think this guy was doing? What do you think he was doing? Right here. Oops. No, right here. What do you think he was doing? Revolutionary black leadership. That's what he was doing.
I swear his hair like Zaire.
I'm telling you. Yeah. What do you think what do you think the Zulus were doing? Right here. What do you think the Zulus were doing right here in 1879?
I learned about revolutionary black leadership.
Yeah, same thing. They were doing the same thing against the Brits. Look at the sister. Harriet Tubman all over again. I'm almost finished. All right, so here's what we have, right? 2260. Thou shalt be so. And he who retaliates with the like of that with which he was been afflicted and has been oppressed, Allah will most certainly aid him. God is with us when we're looking to get out of affliction. When we're looking to get out of affliction from under the hand of the oppressed, God is with us. But you got to have the right frame of mind, family. Revolutions are birthed out of oppression. Roman Empire, one example. Slavery. American slave system has produced a body of revolutionaries. You haven't even seen it yet, but it's on the scene. All right, let me summarize. Basically, what I wanted to talk to you today about was revolutionary black leadership. It is the only way out. There's no other option for us. We've considered, thank you, brother. We've considered all other things. The only way out for us is revolutionary black leadership. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Any questions? I know there's a lot today.